Well, good morning, all. Well, it's a very bright morning here. We just got back from our travels. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Wife went to work. Dogs are passed out next to me, so forgive any snoring you might hear. Saturday morning, bright and early, but guess what we're going to do? We're going to discuss a grand jury indictment, and I'm going to put you on to the whole hot burner of how it feels. I'm going to bring you, and I'm going to indict you exactly just like the Idaho 4 suspect and defendant in the case. First thing I got to do, there's a young man out there. His mother is a hard-working single mom doing all she can to raise her kids to be very big future assets to this country. I give her a big shout out. Chrissy, love you. Great friend. Always there to support me, and I've got your back 100%. Her son, ladies and gentlemen, just made the honor roll. That's a big step in life for such a young man, and we gotta give him a shout out. Elijah, keep up the great work, my friend. Everybody do me a favor. When you comment on this video, please make sure to mention Elijah and his greatness in your comments. It would go a long way to make my heart really pump, but I know it's going to make his day and his mom's day as well, and they all deserve it. So thank you guys. Elijah, you're amazing. You're an upcoming superstar. We love you and we support you. Now, we just watched Idaho 4, the dismissal attempt at a grand jury indictment. We all knew that wasn't going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Not off the basic facts of the first attempt at that dismissal. Now, we don't know what happened in the morning hearing. We don't know where that's going to go. We don't know what all the 24 prosecutorial misconducts and everything that intertwined with that. We're going to learn that. It was done in secret, unfortunately. So hopefully it's on the up and up, and we get to hear the real truth behind all of that, and we'll find out. We heard a little bit of it when they spoke about 6 jurors having questions, and we'll get to that. We will get to that, and we'll discuss that with you. Now, I want you to take a deep breath real quick, because we're going to walk through how a grand jury truly feels based upon a PCA that gets an arrest warrant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, first, let's get to the real basics of this. A probable cause affidavit is just that. It's probable, meaning when it's written, it is not guaranteed fact. It's not guaranteed evidence. It's what they feel as though they are finding against a person that could be utilized as evidence in the future as it becomes confirmed. I call them, based off my background and also through the different lawyers and representatives of the courts that I've intertwined with, a probable cause affidavit is a theory-based assumption of how the crime transpired and what evidence they may be seeking to find. We look at the Idaho 4 probable cause affidavit, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward. I want to bring you in. I want to give you the feeling of what it really truly feels like to be grand jury indicted, because it's not the greatest of feelings, especially when you feel like the evidence is not correct or true, or it doesn't carry the value to find you guilty. So let's go ahead and just reel you in a little bit. Take a deep breath. Relax. You're just hanging out at your home. It's Friday night. Got a movie on the TV. Got popcorn in the bowl. Got the family sitting around you, and guess what happens? It all explodes. Your front door's kicked in. Your windows are smashed. You got 50 agents flying into your house. They're cuffing you up. They're not saying a word to you other than, don't move. Don't move, as they point their guns at you and their tasers are in your back. You don't even know what the hell just happened. You don't even know why they're there. They came out of nowhere, and your entire family right now is pooping their pants. They don't know what happened. They're good people. They probably were going to go to church in a couple hours. You're just shaking your head. You don't know what's going on. And they're telling you you're under arrest. And they're whisking you out of that house at Mach speed into a guarded car and driving off at 100 miles an hour. Your heart rate's up. You have so many questions running through your mind. What the hell is going on? I was just about ready to watch a movie. What am I in? What's going on? Nobody's answering your questions. Nobody is answering your questions until you get to that jail and they slam you head first into a table within the interrogation room and they want to ask you questions. Well, you don't know what to do. If you haven't been here and done this before, what do you do at that point? What do you say? What do you not say? You don't even know what's going on. You've never been in trouble before in your life. You work hard at your job. You take care of your family. You love your friends. You love your family. Now you're sitting in a cold room, bright as you can imagine, with people all around you just asking you questions a mile a minute. You decide not to answer them. It's the best way to go. But they tell you you're under arrest for 4 counts of first-degree murder, and you're wanted by a different state 2,500 miles away. But we're going to escort you because you asked for a lawyer. We're going to escort you to that nice cold cell right up the hall here. And we're not going to tell you anything more about it. You're out of our hair now. We're just going to wait for that extraditing hearing that's going to happen soon. Let's fast forward a little bit. Now you've gone through the whole process of being extradited 2,500 miles. Your family's up in arms. You don't know what's going on. You're back in the state that you just left prior to the holidays. And you're sitting back in the cell again. And they go through the arraignment where you plead silently, but they enter the plea of not guilty for you, so you think everything's on the up and up. You've read over the probable cause affidavit, the theory based against you, and you look at it and you say, well, they don't have much of a case here. This is all circumstantial stuff that my cell phone probably pinged when I went shopping at Albertsons. I don't know these people that they claim that I stalked and I harassed, and then I broke into the home and I took all 4 of their lives. Yeah, my car was probably in the area. I go for late night drives, and I even go hang out sometimes with people from the U of I, and hell, I don't know why they would have all this stuff against me, but all right, okay, well, I'm not guilty, and we're gonna wait. So you're going through the process, and they tell you that you got your due diligence in front of you. You got your preliminary hearing, which is great because you get to face the evidence against you, and your defense team gets to ask questions and put up a case for you against it. Meaning you get to actually try to prove your innocence. It's a great thing about preliminary hearings. It's like a mini trial. You get to question the prosecution's witnesses. You get to see what evidence that's possibly against you, and you get to disprove it. Oh, no, but no, ladies and gentlemen, a grand jury indictment was sought out of secrecy, out of the blue, when all you said is you wanted to talk to one of the prosecution's witnesses. Well, no, we're going to slam that shut. We went last night at 2 o'clock in the morning. We grand jury indicted you. You're indicted now. Now we can skip all that. You don't get to ask any questions. You don't get to try to put on a case that you're innocent. No. We found you're indicted. There's reasonable cause to believe you did this. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you how screwed up a grand jury indictment is. First of all, it's secret. Nobody gets to know anything about it. You don't even know when it happens. Even all of us American people that supposedly are the people of the United States have no idea what happens in that room unless you are called to be on that grand jury. It's only the prosecutor standing in there proving the case. They don't even have confirmed evidences yet. They're using probable cause evidence, theory-based evidence. All they need to do is show that you could have possibly done it. They don't need proof that you did it. All they have to do is prove that you possibly could have been the one. Nobody gets to question whether they're wrong. Nobody gets to put on a defense because they're not even in the room. They don't even know when it's happening. There's no judge there to stop it all and say, hey, wait, you can't ask that question. This is not like trial. How do we know truths are being told? How do we know the evidence being presented is actual evidence? It's not fair because nobody knows. That's why they call it secretive. It's hard to even get the transcripts to dispute a said grand jury indictment because how the hell do you even know what happened in there? You're sitting in a jail cell and all of a sudden you just get your indictment paperwork saying that they found that there's reasonable evidence that you committed this crime, and you could be literally sitting there saying, I wasn't even in the state when this happened. But guess what? None of that matters because they presented a presumption of the evidence that it was you, and it may not even be you. Why do you think there's so many people sitting in jail cells, prison cells, and all over this country that are found not guilty at trial? And two, they're actually found years upon years later to not have been the ones that committed the crimes. You don't think all of that starts with the grand jury indictment issue? Come on. Come on. Really? They went in the Idaho 4. Now we're going to step away from it being you sitting there, but just kind of still resemble yourself as the defendant in the Idaho 4 case. They shut down every attempt that you had to prove your innocence, and the mainstream media is screaming about how you're not even jumping up and down trying to prove you're innocent. Well, how the hell can you? How can you? The indictment's already in, so the only thing you can do now is dispute said indictment. Do you think you're going to win that? Do you think you're going to win that? All they have to do when they go in to a grand jury indictment is get the minimal little bit that you could possibly have done it. This is not you got to go in there like a defendant or a defense team and have to prove reasonable doubt. This is, it doesn't even matter if there's a little bit of reasonable doubt. We could still pretend you're guilty. How is this justice in the United States of America? This is really what's basing everything to you are guilty until we prove you innocent. Because we don't even have to have confirmed evidence against you to indict you and hold you in jail with no bail. You're going to lose your whole life just because we think you may have done something. We can't prove it, but we think you did it. I've sat there, ladies and gentlemen, knowing that I was not connected to a crime, and I got grand jury indicted, and I remember discussing it with my lawyer, and he's saying, I have no idea how they even looked at this as if you were possibly even in the area when this happened. So we're going to have to take it to trial. We're going to have to try to work this out. And I looked at him, I said, well, how? I mean, what could they possibly use as evidence within this to even think I was here? I wasn't even in the area. I wasn't even in the state. Oh, well, they feel as though you made a phone call to somebody who was involved in the case, so now they're... Come on. Quit pretending that you know and prove that you know. That's my basis on this. And there's going to be a lot of people out there that don't agree with me when it comes to how our judicial system handles this. They think the grand jury indictment's quicker. They think it's less expensive for the state, taxpayer money. They think all these different ways. But ladies and gentlemen, it's actually costing the state more money, because think of how many people that they actually grand jury indict that weeks later get let loose because they didn't even have the evidence to try them. We're talking about in the Idaho 4, we're talking about when they went to the grand jury indictment, we knew they had the cell phone pings. Okay, well, that's not strong in court. They knew they had the DNA on the sheath. Well, they don't even know if that was going to hold up in court. Don't even know how that little touch bit of DNA got there. The cell phone pings, if we go back to that, they haven't even got the information back from the FBI confirming the cast and all the details of said cell phone information. So that couldn't be delivered properly to a grand jury. The car. Okay, well, you haven't even been able to show one still photo of that car. And the defense had to motion after the grand jury indictment numerous times for the FBI to turn over the evidence of how they confirmed the years of said car. So how did you describe that to a grand jury? Well, we think it might be a 2011, maybe a 2013, but he drives a 15, so we'll just say it's a 15 for now, and then we'll prove it to you later when we get to trial. Indict him on the 15, and we'll prove it. We'll prove it later. Don't worry. Okay, well, maybe they brought the eyewitness to court, and she testified before the grand jury indictment. Maybe she saw somebody who was clad in black and couldn't describe whether he had blood on him or not, didn't see a weapon. She called out numerous times, didn't call 911 for 8 hours. But yeah, that's a good witness to call. I'm sure a grand jury loved that one. Did Bethany Funk come and testify? Because we sure know she didn't want to come back for anything. She was fighting coming back to Idaho. Did she come back and testify in front of that grand jury? I'd like to know that. I would really like to know what strong evidence they provided, because the defense has been motioning and compelling for evidence 9 times now. 9 times. Meaning they haven't got all the evidence from the prosecution, yet somehow the grand jury has all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, there were 6 questions by grand jury jurors that went unanswered and avoided because they didn't need to prove anything more than there was maybe a chance. Just maybe a chance. Could have been. Might have been. We say it has to have been. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, look at the grand jury process and really take it to heart. And how would you feel? How would you feel right now if someone came and knocked on your door, arrested you, and they grand jury indicted you in the middle of the night, and you didn't even know what it was for or why? There are times the grand jury indictment is immediate. I've been arrested after my grand jury indictment, meaning they actually did a grand jury indictment before I was in custody, and they even had any evidence from me personally in a case. But just picture how fair that has to be. So I'm going to do this. You're a hardworking husband and wife raising 2 children, and I'm going to go before people and just slander you. It's only me in the room talking to 12 people. You can't be there. Nobody defending you can be there. Nobody supporting you can be there. Nobody on your behalf could be anywhere near it. It's just me and 12 people, and whatever I say goes. I don't call you hardworking people. I call you money grubbing, just taking off of other people. You don't raise your kids well. You're very disrespectful and abusive. You drink too much. You have other addictions that just control your life. You don't drive a blue car, you drive a white car. And you like to do it in the middle of the night. So just imagine, you've worked so hard to build up your whole aura, your whole self-image. And I get days to stand in front of people and convince them none of that's true. And you can't be around to defend yourself. You don't even know when I'm doing it. I'm just breaking your entire image, and you never even... You had no clue. Behind closed doors, secretive. You can't defend it. You can't question it. You can't even dispute it if I cheat, lie, steal, change something. As long as I could show a little bit of shred that I possibly think it was you, that this is true, just possibly. Your son tripped and fell the other day and had a bump on his knee, so I could possibly convince somebody you're abusive. Is that fair? Is that true? Is that real? Or do you need to sit in a jail cell for 2.5, 3 years to actually go to trial to defend yourself? Grand jury indictments suck, ladies and gentlemen. They suck. This is what our country's got down to. It's a secret society of how we actually handle things behind closed doors to affect somebody else's life that can't be there to even protect themselves, to defend themselves. Instead of a preliminary hearing, which is a mini trial, where those defense attorneys and that defendant can stand up for himself and battle what's being said, and also a judge to make sure everything is correctly done. And there isn't any of this nonsense. We don't need to go back and review and dispute because it's all visual. We see it. We all know what's going on. The defendant's right there, and at that point, he can do exactly what 95% of you people have said, that why doesn't he stand up and fight for his innocence? How the hell can he? He's not even there to defend himself. And now you expect him to do it in a court hearing, that if he does it, he gets contempt of court, he gets cuffed up, and he gets thrown back in a cell. They'll put a spit mask on him, cuff him up to a freaking wheelchair, all because he wants to fight for his innocence. Well, you took that away from him when you grand jury indicted him. This entire ordeal of, well, we don't have enough money to do a preliminary hearing for everybody. Well, if you can't bring the goods and the evidence to indict somebody, you shouldn't take them to trial to begin with. Do your investigation first. Do it appropriately. Get the evidence confirmed, and indict somebody. That way you're not spending all the extra money on innocent people you have to release later. It hits me in the heart thinking about a grand jury indictment, because I've been indicted on charges that were false and incorrect, and I was let out later as a free man. I've been sitting in cells with people that you could just tell they didn't even know why they were there. They had no idea. And later the charges were dismissed and they went home. It's your taxpayer money that pays for people to go grand jury indict others without the correct evidence to back it. This Idaho 4 is really shaky. There's something that smells really bad about it. It smells really bad, and that's why I'm speaking up. Our justice system needs to do better. We as the people need to demand better. Because you never know when someone's going to kick in your door, break all your windows, scare the shit out of your family, and bring up indictment charges against you that you could never even fathom would be brought up, and you get indicted and get to sit there and fight that out over a long period of time. All with just kind of a nonchalant manner by the state, like it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We got you. Prove it. Prove you got me. Do a prelim. Let's have a mini trial. If you got me, okay, great. We'll go to main trial. If you don't got me, well, I just proved you a fool. Ladies and gentlemen, ARHayes, Convict's Thoughts. I appreciate all of you. Elijah, big shout out to you. Honor roll. Keep that going. Keep making us proud. And every other mother and father out there, that your children are successfully earning their grades, doing great things in athletics, standing up, being bold, not getting in trouble like I did my entire life. Shout out to all of you. Much love. We'll talk again soon. Convict's Thoughts. Have a great night.